is Dr. Tammany with Indian Trail Animal Hospital. This is my helper today, Peanut. We wanted to go through how to do nail trimming as well as nail filing or nail dremeling. Right now when we're home with our pets, we've got a little bit more time together. It's a really good time to learn the techniques as well as get our pets used to the sensation of having this done. Really, the behavior piece of a nail trim is more important in many aspects than the technical piece, because you don't want to have a pet that's frightened of a nail trim. Sure, a lot of them aren't going to love it, but at the same time it shouldn't be a negative experience, and we can use this time to start to get them accustomed to the sensations and just what the process is, all the time keeping behavior encouragement, whether it's words or treats, positive, which is what we do in the hospital when you come in. But unfortunately, grooming services aren't available under the quarantine or stay-at-home type orders. So I wanted to give you some tips, things you could work on from home. A couple things I want to show you, and it's just me, you know, we're all trying to make do these days. So I'm going to let Peanut run away. Hopefully you won't be too hard to catch in just a minute while I show you a couple of things that you'll need or would be nice to have. So I'll get a little closer. This is the nail trimmer that I prefer. It comes from the side. You just put your hand around it like this and it trims the nail. And then some kind of filing system is ideal. So a Dremel that has a sandpaper top on it and a low as well as a high setting is ideal to smooth the edges as well as to encourage the quick to go back. So speaking of quicks, forgive my little drawing here. I am a veterinarian, not an artist, but I'm gonna try. So this is a drawing of the nail with this being the quick or the blood vessel inside the nail. Now a lot of people are scared of black nails, but they're really all the same. Sometimes I think we're overconfident with white nails, because even where you can see the pink, sometimes you might really only see it here, but it continues out a little farther. So what the ideal scenario is to desensitize them to being held in position, to desensitize them to the noise. So that may take a week of 1-minute sessions each day until you get there. But when you're doing the whole nail trimming program, ideally you're going to want to trim at an angle, so about like this, a little distance from the quick, and then you can go back and trim the under angle and get like that, and maybe even a little bit on the side. On the other side of this, I'm going to show you what the tip of the nail should be looking like. So when you go to trim the nail, if it's been a little while, you're not going to see any kind of indentation or impression in the middle. It's just going to look like that, of various shapes. Obviously this is bigger than typical. As you start to trim, and to be clear, when I'm trimming, I'm trimming at an angle, but I may be here first, and then I get here, and then I get a little closer. And what I'm looking for is how the bottom of the nail changes. So when I start to be able to get the impression of where the quick is, I'm gonna start to see just a little impression of a circle in the middle. And as I get closer, and this would technically really be too close because you don't want bleeding, that would cause discomfort and distrust in future nail trims. But even if you don't get bleeding, you could start to get the indentation and the impression of the nail, or the quick rather, that's coming up. So in between here and here is usually where I stop with my trim. So the trim might end up about like that. And then I'll come back and get that sharp part at the end and go about like that. And then again, maybe even on either side. And then I come around and circle the nail without getting the pad with the Dremel to smooth those edges. And you can also do a little bit at the bottom if they're not uncomfortable to get closer. In most cases, this is going to be a 2-person job. With Peanut, I'm sometimes able to do it on my own. He happens not to be a fan of treats. He's more a fan of love, and I have his favorite toy in my pocket. So every dog's gonna be a little different. With him, we tend to go on our side. So, and I've got my body that's supporting him, or sometimes on his back. If you've got a helper, I would suggest having the helper just kind of block their head, so if there was some kind of surprise, he wouldn't kind of whip around and have the potential to nip me. We shouldn't get to that point with discomfort, but some dogs, as they're getting used to it, just with the element of surprise when there's a snip, might do that. So an ideal helper would be kind of blocking head, petting, feeding treats, small amounts please. And then the trimmer, I know it's weird when we're doing it by ourselves. I'm going to try to do it on your back. This is some of the challenges of what we face at home. Usually my daughter holds him, but she's doing school right now. So we're going to try our back. This can be a scary position for some dogs, so it wouldn't be ideal for everybody, but I happen to know that he tolerates it and he's used to us doing it. So I'm going to turn the Dremel on low. In his case, since you can't really see, I'm not going to do the trim, but just show you that the Dremel goes right along the sides, ideally, of the nail. And then as you're watching the bottom, if they're already a touch short, you can come along the bottom too. If at any point he started to pull away or act uncomfortable, I would of course stop, give him a little encouragement, and go on to the next one. So I know this is hard to see, but again, we're just going around the edges, giving him lots of good boys as we go. And I'll see if I can't add, when I've got more help, a video a little up closer of the nail with our other dog who does need a trim, because I can hear him click-clacking on the floor. So if we do this every week, they need, oh, it's okay. We got one a little sensitive, it's okay. You want to be done? You can be done. So if you do this every week, they very rarely need much of a trim. You just do the Dremel. So he got a little uncomfortable there. I'm going to give him a break. I can go back once he's settled and do the other two nails, or the other 2 feet. But in this case, since he's not really needing it so much, I'm just going to give him his ball, and a good boy, and we're off. Yes, I know you did such a good job. So those are my tips for nail trims. Really focus on the behavior first before worrying about the technical aspect, I would suggest. And literally, if you take 30 seconds to a minute of handling your dog's foot, giving them a treat, turning on the Dremel, maybe it's 6 feet away, and giving them a treat. The next day it might be 4 feet away, the next day it might be 3 feet away, and you're just slowly building up their tolerance and their comfort with that. The other dog, if I can get him on the video later, his name's Pluto, our rescue dog, was terrified of the Dremel. I mean, like, would run to the other side of the house when I turned it on. And now he really prefers the Dremel to the cutting with the clippers. So we can slowly desensitize these dogs and make it an easier process for everybody. So I hope that helps. Send your tips if you have them, but that is my 2 cents.